wanted to cover today briefly is on our website under the what's it called? Just a tag that says courses. What we're doing now, based on an idea from Raquel Perez, one of our talent search pre-college consultant, and also through Leanne Donna, working really hard to get this up and going, is our proposal writing courses. We traditionally or usually do this 2 days online, and it's a lot. I mean, it's 10 sessions, and it's heavy. It's draining for us as presenters, and it's draining as the attendees, and it's a lot of information. So we thought, well, at least it's being recorded, so you can always go back and look at the link, and then you get access to the Google Drive. Remember this, whenever we talk about a proposal, that's where we're meeting at lunchtime, you cannot use any federal funds to pay for it. So we thought, okay, that's going to be good, but it's still awfully draining. So based on the idea initially from Raquel, and there's a link to the courses that Donna put in the chat. What we've launched is a proposal writing courses via Wix, where it will allow you to, on your own time, go through the process of going through each section. And when it's available to you, I think it's easier or more motivating to go through it than if you just had the links on a PDF. And also, what I think is really helpful is we do have a to-do list for each session. And Donna, do we have I don't know if we have the quizzes on this one. I know we had it for the professional development courses, but do we have quizzes for I can't remember. Lost my
Yes,
mind.
I believe so. Uh-huh.
Okay, so for each session, we also kind of have a little review and a little quiz to kind of, no one gets hurt, no one gets graded or bad grades. It's a way, I guess, to kind of be able to focus specifically on each section whenever, it's convenient for you, and to also have a little bit of, I don't want to call it homework, but some to-do lists or also some questions just to solidify that you're getting the content, and then you can go back to it. I think it's easier to find, it's better organized. You still have access to the Google Drive that has all the resources and the slide decks. We have it for Educational Opportunity Center as well. There's no new information out there, right? There's no new information yet. So I think your best bet is to sign up and take these courses. They're $500 per person. If you've already attended a live webinar session, Donna will give you her email address so you can let her know. And some folks have emailed us and they're already online. So you get access to that. And then we do have our professional development courses that are set up the same way. But now these are allowable costs because they are related to professional development. We don't talk about the proposal in these courses here. And they basically are like a advanced new directors sort of training. We've got 8 topics there. When you click here, you'll be able to see the subjects. I think it's really good onboarding or review for existing staff, definitely for new staff. It's $500 per person. They can see where they're at in the onboarding process to go through each session. It also has quizzes at the very end, so you can measure content. If the retention of the material, if they're learning, and also there is a to-do list for each one that you guys might find helpful. I bring up right now just to remind you, it's an allowable cost. And I know right now a lot of you are should be very frugal right now with your funds, okay, for this month of September, right? Some of y'all barely limping along. For those of you that expect to have carryover starting October 1st, when hopefully we get our GANs, something for you to consider, not now, right now, but maybe in October if you want to onboard your new staff or have something handy for people that are coming on board or to do training, because, there's 7 of the 12 training grants through the Department of Ed were canceled. So there's only a few training opportunities available for free virtually. So this one's not free, but it is virtual. You don't have to pay for costs to travel. And because it's not a live webinar, you can do it on your schedule. So I think it's a really good investment. And even if it's not ours, if another agency or company is doing that, I think that's the way to go right now when you want to keep your costs down, especially for Talent Search and EOC. We have like 2 pennies left after we pay all our staff, typically, if you don't have carryover. So I wanted to point out the difference between the 2 sets of major courses we have. We have the proposal writing courses, which are unallowable. for Talent Search and EOC. Please check those out. We'll be updating them as soon as we get any word about CPPs or anything about the draft. I don't think they'll have a draft RFP. I don't think they're going to make any changes. But when and if they do, and if it comes out, then we'll definitely have a live webinar that people will be invited to who have already paid for the course, either live or through the online courses, to catch up and, really, look at any updates that have happened, and then we'll update, the recordings here as well. But keep in mind also, put on your list the professional development courses that are allowable to pay for out of project funds because they're professional development. And these would be perfect for reviewing. We have the history of Trio, then we have a detailed legs and regs. Thank you, Leticia. If you could, yeah, and thank you so much for letting us know how you've used them and if they've been beneficial. We also have identification, recruitment, and selection. We also have the delivery of services and the objectives. We have an APR session. We have budget management. We have compliance assessment. We have record keeping. We try to package everything that would be essential for y'all to be aware of and to review. And again, it's a lot to do it in 2 days, and it's very hard to find 2 days to do the live session. This way you can break it up as appropriate, to fit into your training. Maybe do it once a week together as a group. And also, I forgot to mention that you do have access to email the presenters or the instructors if any questions come up. So you also have access to the groups, which I'm going to try to become more active on. Thank you for those of you that have joined the groups and I'm wondering what the heck's going on. Well, I'm, about to get ready, about to kick off this season. I'm waiting for everyone to get their GANs before I start, going there. Or maybe I should go ahead anyway and kind of as a distraction. But keep these things in mind. I think they're going to be helpful, especially with the so many of the training grants getting canceled. There are really less training opportunities that are free, but nothing's for free, right? If you got to pay for staff to go out there and travel, time is money, and you got to get it, get out of the office. And right now we're trying so hard to recruit. So please consider these as options. And even if someone else has something like this going on, that's the way to go, where you could break it up. Gone are the days where you can spend 2 whole days, attached to a laptop. It's just too much, right? We need to break it up. So anyway, hopefully you'll check those out. All right. So that being said, I wanted to know if y'all had any questions at all about anything. It doesn't have to be about the proposals. Still don't have a due date. Um, still have no GANs, I believe. I don't think anybody in the chat has said that they've received their GAN for Talent Search or EOC, right, Donna? I can't see off my iPad here. I'm not smart enough to see where the chats are. Let me see. I can't.
No, I don't see anybody mentioning their GANs here.
Okay. All right. Anybody have well, you know what? I can talk a little bit about, the post that COE put out. No GANs have been released at this time. Okay. Thanks, Al. Um, you know, uh Still no GANs, and we've had some upward bound programs canceled. I don't know if anybody knows exactly who they are. I don't, even if we did, I don't think you'd be able to find out. I don't think they know why they've been canceled. It could be, I've heard, I don't know if anybody else heard any other reasons that were stated in Chicago. I've heard both. I've heard that there was language in their quality of personnel, perhaps. And I also heard that there was language maybe on the college's website. So some people are telling me it's what the college did, not the project, and other people are saying it's what the project did. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't seen anything in writing that specifically says this is the exact reason why. If you have seen it or heard some details, that would be great to let us know or to talk about it so that we can be aware of it. Um, I think they'll have a case, I think, to get their programs back. I believe so, but it's going to take time and money. And what's going to happen, I think, is a lot of these programs or the colleges don't have the money to keep them going on until they can win their case and get reinstated. I think that that's going to be the issue, and people are going to, unfortunately, people may leave because they got to work, right? And they don't have time to go through, the court case. But I'm hopeful that there'll be a way to do that. Do we know what training grants were? I believe that's the question, right? Dawn, it pops up here on a second for me, and that's it. Let me see if I can check over.
Yeah, someone asked, do we know what training grants were canceled and the reason they were canceled?
Well, on the training grants off the top of my head, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. COE, yes, COE lost there. I don't know, Val, which one was it? Was it new directors, training? I believe UNLV lost theirs. The University, I think of Oklahoma. I forget what their was Oklahoma Central University, I believe they had two. They lost two. Let me see who else. Um, the family centered agency out of Chicago, and they have an office in Corpus. They still have their grant. I believe Renaissance has theirs. Sonoma, I believe, has theirs. Oh, University of KU. KU lost their grant. So all in all, it's about seven. And I did hear again unofficially. I haven't seen the documentation, but it was in the quality of personnel where they were talking about the faculty members that they would have, and there was language there. Y'all heard about, there's a call for McNair, I believe. Yeah. The administration recently terminated Title V, or I guess, yeah, terminated Title V funding, which is the one I'm familiar with and have written is the Hispanic serving institutions, but there's also a lot of other funding in that umbrella. And so that's why I believe, there's going to be a fight for McNair. I was told CBI. Again, CBI, what do they stand for? I'm sorry. I'm so bad with so many initials. I can't keep track of them all. If you could let us know what that stands for. Okay, thank you. Right. If anyone else knows about that. Oh, College Bound Institute. Thank you, Al. They've also lost, I believe they lost their grant funding. Um, there was this is what I'm going to post later today about the assessment of what the latest holdup means for TRIO. There's been a pattern. This is the third time the delayed funding has been put into place. Um, Gear Up recently had a positive, and I posted about that. I usually follow Gear Up because they have weekly updated government, updates. And people say, well, what does that have to do with Trio? Well, it has a lot to do with Trio, actually. Whatever they do to Gear Up, they usually do to us. Don, do you have a question, or there's a Q&A?
Yeah, there's a comment in the Q&A that someone said they just saw someone put on a Facebook group that they had received their UB GAN today.
Hmm. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So let's keep track of that. I don't know if they are, a certain funding, certain budget period or banked or whatever. So keep an eye out for that. Eileen, I know you have an upward bound. I don't know if you've heard anything yet with your upward bound along with your talent search. I know you probably would have said they need to be sure it's not an administrative GAN. About the GAN that came in, you mean that it's a GAN, no cost extension GAN, or just one of those that says the date? Oh, or if it's a cancellation GAN, is that what you mean, Al? That they have different kind of GANs? The good GAN that we want? Oh, no cost extension, right. That's true. You're absolutely right. Anybody who's receiving a GAN, you want to make sure, and it's hard to see because they don't label it that way. I mean, they should in the body of the email. But I had to actually talk some people off a ledge, because it's or they were thought they were looking at the wrong. Those cans are confusing, right? You would think they'd make them a little easier. So Eileen, you got the UBMS scan, not the town search. The other UB in our area did not get theirs yet. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. So yes, Al, thank you. Those GANs are tricky. You want to make sure that it's not a no cost extension GAN. And let me see here. It was September 2025. So okay, so someone got the UB one. Okay, so they got the whole year. They got September. Oh, that's interesting. They got for the until August 31st, 2026. Okay. Thank you for that information. I guess you would get they got their money retroactively because they're telling us, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone to prepare for for their money to kick in October 1st. So I'm wondering if they got their reimbursed money. It looks like it on that GAN. Again, speculation. We're speculating because we haven't seen it yet to see exactly what it reads. Because sometimes, believe it or not, we can read it a couple of different ways. Um, and sometimes it takes two or three of us to look and together figure it out and say, okay, no, that's a no cost extension GAN versus again that does have the time. I did have to explain to somebody, no, that's not saying you have money. That's saying that you have permission to, spend your 24-25 into 25-26 up to the end of September. And so it's not the real deal here, okay? He said it would be set at 9/1. That's what I heard him say. Okay, all right, we'll see. We'll see what that is. Again, um, uh, interesting information. So what I was saying about Gear Up having a positive, or gives us some hope about the amendment that they did for Gear Up. There's no such protective language yet for Trio. So they talked about protecting Gear Up. They didn't mention Trio. So, that's a little bit alarming. But Gear Up always gets mentioned, right? When we tag along, even though we're older than Gear Up. So don't get me started on that one. I think, they should be tagging off of us, but we're going to follow whatever they do for our little brother and sister called Gear Up and see how they treat the trio programs. And so, we're basically again, uh, on hold, and that we have to keep on, contacting and letting again, making sure that you contact folks in a way that it's not lobbying, and your congressional representatives, to let them know that this is causing, disruption. Students are not being served. You've heard that all before. So that's all this update was going to just, uh, give you our assessment based off of the latest situation. And it's still changing every day. Anyway, that being said, does anyone have any questions about anything regarding Talent Search, EOC, Trio in general, your budget right now? My recommendation right now is since we're on the no cost extension, that y'all should be frugal, shouldn't be planning any trip. You never know. Who knows if this is extended again? I'm not saying it would be, but if it is, then you want to, go ahead and, live off that fund. So you need to be very, very careful right now. If it were me, I'd be saving every single penny in case this extends into October, if you're able to. So this is one case where having a lot of carryover was actually a blessing rather than a curse. Um, and I mean, it is what it is. You can always make sure you have your explanation as to why you have so much carryover, which is probably due. I bet you out there everyone would tell me to vacancies, whether there were director vacancies or project advisors vacancies. Every day that someone's not in that position, your salaries are unused, and also fringe, which makes up, 70 to 85% of your budget. So it makes sense that you have a lot of carryover. And like I said, this time around, it may be a blessing to have that to see, to help you make it. And if, hopefully we'll be able to keep carryover. I've been working with SSS programs. I have one SSS program that is banked, so their project year didn't end in August because they have a banked year, meaning had an extra year. So they have one more year left on their funding cycle. And it looks like they allowed them to carry over, quite a bit of money. So, and they were approved pretty quickly. So that's the positive side, is once we get these things, our GANs approved, they're being very quick. I mean, this was a request that they put in, I believe, this morning, and the program officer replied right away with other couple of questions. Let's see, we have somebody took that away. He said it would be, okay, do we have any other questions or comments that I might have missed? Any Q&A, Donna?
No,
Again, I'm here at a disadvantage here because I don't have my three screens. And I'm on my iPad, so it's kind of hard to see. Just didn't want to lose internet connection, just in case. Um, let's see here. I'm planning to, since there's no questions, I'll just keep rambling on. Um, a couple of things. I know it's really hard to think about writing the proposal to get additional, to get continuation funding when you're kind of stressing about whether or not you have, a GAND to continue. Um, Yes, by the way, Lakeisha, did the banked SSS grants still receive word they're funded? Yes, they are funded for the new funding cycle, but their money doesn't kick in. They're still on the old money. So, yes, they did get official notification that they have been refunded. So they're starting to use their new objectives now, but even though they're on old money, and we had to clarify that, okay? So anyway, I get it. So I've been kind of laying low and not kind of bugging my clients because it's hard to concentrate on that. We got started over the summer with data collection again. And also believe it or not, the applicant and community support section, that's a beast, especially to get those letters of commitment. And also, I think this time around, they're going to look for strong community partnerships for those of you that are colleges. And if you're a nonprofit agency, you have to focus on the college commitment. Remember that. I see there are a couple of agencies on this call. They're going to want to see a strong college partnership in your applicant and community support section. And if you're a college, they're not going to really look for you interacting or have a partnership with other colleges. They want you to have partnerships with community agencies. So see that difference. And the MOUs this time around. Everything is so different this time around, right? So make sure you start getting those MOUs, even if you're not sure if that school that has been a target school for so many years or cycles on your talent search grant, even if you're not sure they're going to make the cut this time, go ahead and get those letters of commitment or MOUs in place. Gone are the days where you can go to the school principal at the last minute or at any time and ask for them to sign something, right? Now it's got to go through probably the board and all that stuff. So you start that early. So this is the thing. Let's say when we get down to the bottom of the spreadsheet and the numbers, like with more than half of my clients, one or more of their existing target schools are not showing a need anymore. However, we pull the numbers. And so a decision has to be made. Do they stay with their true blue, target schools? And some of them don't have a choice. If they just have one or two, they can't really drop that because then they go below keeping the substantially, the same number of target schools and the same target schools. So some of them don't have a choice. Some of them that have a bunch of target schools, this is your time to unfortunately cut down on some of those schools because the data is not showing a need. So if you can, this is something you need to consider, but it may not be done until closer to, later on, you make the final cut, right? But that doesn't mean you still can't go ahead and get letters of commitment or MOUs from these schools, because guess what? If they don't make the final cut and they're not listed as official target schools, you can still serve them as long as they're still in the target area. Remember that? You can still serve students if they don't attend a target school. So this is one way you can have your cake and eat it too, where you can, on the proposal in the needs section or in your APR, bless them, let some of these target schools, existing target schools go if you have to, because they're not showing a need. And but keep them on your list of non-target schools that you'll serve, just as long as you don't go to them as often or have more students at the non-target schools than you have at your target schools. Okay. And it gives you, you may have to make that decision at the last minute, and then you've got some time to kind of, come up with your letter or your meeting where you tell them, look, the deal is when it was all said and done, I couldn't put you as an official target school because y'all were not showing need. Congratulations, you didn't show need. But here's the good news. We will still be able to work with your students. I just can't come here as often, we can't be here every day or every week, maybe every other week. But we're not, leaving you high and dry, basically. Okay, so but that decision can't be made until you start collecting the data. So right now, if you can, I know you're waiting for those GANs, but EOC as well, you got to collect that census data for your target areas. We're also having some, I don't want to say issues, fine tuning that um, target area. So I want y'all to if you can do one thing in the next couple of weeks, is to please come up with a paragraph that describes your target area, right? As though you were talking to someone who had no idea um, how things, about, your location, a total cold reader, talk to them about, your target area is it Houston, the whole city, which is located in Texas, or is it part of the neighborhoods in Houston? Because Houston's got some money, so you can't, show probably need for the whole city, but it would be for those sub areas that you briefly mentioned to the reader, that the target area, like for the project that we had in Fort Worth, was one of our grants for Town Search was the north side of inner city Fort Worth was the target area. And within that, on my spreadsheet, I might have had streets and zones, broken down. I may have had 8 sub areas within that one target area. And I just briefly mentioned them, but I wouldn't put the reader through that whole data collection and on every table include every sub area. No, it was just one target area. I think you really need to do that, and you'll feel a lot better once you get that done and have double checked that your target area is still showing need in those 2 major tables, which is the number of low-income families in the target area and the number of individuals in the target area that have less than a bachelor's degree. You've got to show a need when you compare it to state or national rates. And what we're finding out with a lot of our clients is initially when we do the first pass on what they've always said, oh, we work with that whole county. Okay, well, now that county is not showing a need in those 2 areas when compared to state or national rates. So are you really serving the whole county? So that's when we have to start drilling down and making sure that we're very detailed about what areas are actually being served and collect data for those areas off of the census, whatever we can do to get that area to add it up or average it out to come up with the one target area. And then throughout the proposal for all the other tables, we talk about how there's one target area, but in your initial opening paragraph, you kind of describe what actually consists of your target area. Then for talent search, you've got your target schools. Your target schools, your official target schools need to fall within that target area. Okay. And then the thing I also urge you to do is to collect, if anything, start collecting the latest available data for your target schools in all those need section areas, such as persistence, graduation. And in addition to the cohort graduation rate from 9th to 12th grade, to show a need, you want to make sure you also in the needs section stress the 12th grade graduation rate, meaning how many 12th graders in the fall of 2024, for example. I don't know if you can get this, you may have to go back another year, but it would be awesome if you could get the number of 12th graders that were enrolled in 2024, fall of 2024, and compare it to how many graduated by spring of 2025. Okay. Your objective for the regular high school graduation with a regular diploma is based on 12th grade. The same thing for the rigorous. It's that same number of 12th graders. But now, not only did they graduate, but did they graduate having completed a rigorous program of study? Right? You've got to show a need when you compare it to district or state. There's no national comparison. So it's either district or state. You've got to compare the rates. And it's got to be about your 12th graders. I lost points because I used the cohort graduation rate, the 9th to 12th grade that I still talked about in the grant. But my problem was I used that as my baseline, the 9th to 12th grade graduation rate with a regular diploma, to set my objective in the objective section on the percentage of students that you will get a regular diploma. And the reader said, oh, you're going to lose points here because you didn't give me the right baseline. The objective clearly says 12th graders only. and you talked about ninth through 12th grade. Therefore, we can't assess if this is ambitious yet attainable because you gave me the wrong baseline. You know how many years I've been using the cohort graduation rate? I mean, ever since I've been in trio, I've always used the ninth to 12th grade, never had any issues. And last time around, I got slammed on some of them. Luckily, it was for existing folks that they had enough prior experience points. They were still happy. They got funded, but I was fuming mad. And I was mad at myself because you know what? I can't argue with that. I was lucky all these other times to get all these other new grants funded because the readers did not pick up on that. I didn't pick up on that. So someone picked up on it and told everybody, hey, the baseline for the two objectives that we have in Talent Search on regular diploma and rigorous diploma, or graduating, sorry, with a regular diploma having completed a rigorous program of study, have to be strictly on the 12th graders. So you know that's going to be high, right? So what we're having to do is we're having to throw in another, it's not showing need, right? When we look just at 12th graders. It's in the high, close to 98, 96, because we're just talking about 12th graders. So in order to show need, we're throwing in a different layer. We're saying, okay, well, what about if we say how many 12th graders graduated with a regular diploma having a certain GPA, like a 2.75, or a 3.0. See how I added that? I added that on purpose to bring down the graduation rate. Now, it's not asking for that, but if I left it alone and had everybody at 99, 97, 9, I mean, and I'm not showing a need, I'm going to lose points by not doing anything. So it's kind of like the game last night. Y'all watched that game yesterday? I'm just, I have nothing to lose because I'm already going to lose points. I'm not showing need in either of those tables. So I'm going to add in the definition underneath graduation rate of 12th graders with a regular diploma that graduated with a 3.0 or higher. And just maybe they'll take it. Maybe they'll take it, you know. Maybe they won't, but at least I'm giving myself a chance. So that's in case you are not showing need, but let's hurry up and at least, you know, on paper uh, or a spreadsheet, get that so that you could have time to make decisions to think. It's a big deal to change your target area or modify it. It's a big deal to change the number of your target schools. And in some instances, like I said, you may not be able to bless someone and let them go. You may be, you may have to keep those schools. And so then a discussion needs to be had. How many prior experience points do we have? And where, let's be okay. Don't panic. We're going to lose points here, possibly, most likely. Or can we do something like, let's throw in another layer of rigor, like with a certain GPA. So that means you're going to have to get in contact with these target school folks and counselors to go ahead and give you that information. How many partners do you recommend? Someone says, oh, I love this question. I would recommend quantity and not quality. For those of you at universities and colleges for the applicant and community support, try to see if you can get me at least 3 partnerships with agencies or community-based organizations that have at least 3 or 4 bullets of commitment, even if it's space, access to students and their potential applicants and their parents, their staff or their program people to provide workshops for your participants, their staff to provide in-service training to to your staff, so not only for them to provide workshops for your students in whatever they happen to be doing, but also to provide some sort of in-service training to your project staff. What we said, stay, and then of course, not to mention the specific, service that they offer, that they would, and I always put they would work with eligible participants, right? That's they're not promising to take that. So again, at least three, and those 3 or 4 bullets that I mentioned that are consistent. So I'd prefer that than having a million of these where I'm looking at them, I'm like, that ain't gonna happen. I'm sure that's never happened. You just kind of get that feeling. Um, So thanks for that question. Great question. How are talent search and EOC programs with money navigating this period without a GAND? Are colleges and agencies covering programs? If so, until September 30th, what happens afterward? Are there any programs laying off? So again, I don't know if y'all want to put in the chat some of your experiences if you want to share how y'all are managing. I can tell you that some colleges and agencies are covering it, and there's some question about whether or not they're going to get reimbursed for what they're covering, main out of their pocket, basically, if there's no money left. Some are covering the costs. Some are thinking they might get reimbursed, and that's a whole nother issue. Some have received letters of, telling them, by next Friday, if we don't have a GAND, their the positions are terminated, rift, whatever, that kind of thing. And some are living off their carryover funds to do that. So that's what I know. If y'all want to share in the chat what you got, what you're going through right now, are you living off a carryover? Is your college taking care of the bills right now? Or have they told you, you've received these letters? And yes, there are programs, unfortunately, that have been laying off. Okay, I can only speak to, I've been working with clients that I've seen all of those scenarios come up. Okay, let me see here. Someone in the chat, and I am able to look at that. Let me see. Let me see here. Can you hear me okay, Donna? Because I think I froze there for a second. Okay, I think I'm back. Okay, thank you. All right, so for the community partners, is it okay to include a partner that can only serve one school, or better to have one that serves all schools? No, that's fine. If you have a good, community partner that because of their location or maybe their grant says they can only serve so and so middle school, that's fine. That's all right. You could just say for one of the middle schools or one of the target schools due to location or their requirements. That's totally fine to do that. Not a problem. Okay. How about EOC? Any EOC questions? EOC, needs section is a beast. They say, well, there's a lot of questions in talent search. Well, I actually prefer the questions because they tell you exactly what they want. In EOC, have you noticed they kind of leave it wide open? And I hate the wide open questions. I'm like, give me examples. If you look and Leah, I'm going to ask you to drive here. Can you go to the Google Drive? I wanted to point out some stuff for EOC. I see it at the very top of the page. Yeah. Okay, great. Can we go to the EOC folder? And in the EOC folder for the Google Drive that y'all should have a link to, there is something that says, let me see here, the needs section support quotes. If you could double click that. All right. So this is information here that you should be trying to get in addition to the census data and to anything from workforce, for EOC, 50%, sometimes 60% of the data that we use to convince the readers that there is a need is qualitative, meaning it's coming from people working, living in the target area because that's all you have. It's not like talent search where we have maybe 70% of our information comes from quantitative tables, reports, online resources. It's different for EOC. For EOC, you've got to start working on gathering qualitative feedback, percentages that you have to get from folks that are experts um, providing services in the target area. For example, we've got, we have to show there's a need for GED preparation and testing support. So here's just a sample quote. You could go ahead as the writers state in the target area, there is a need for GED preparation and testing support as indicated or as stated by this is the, I believe would be, yeah, an adult program, a GED program director. And you could quote them, and and use that and maybe quote a couple of them to say, yes, I mean, we got to show that. Then the lack of knowledge about post-secondary pathways, the same thing here. You know, the need for financial aid application assistance. How do you show that? You just can't say in the target area, there's a bunch of folks that need this help. They have nowhere to go. Says who? You got to pin it on someone else to say it for you. So that sometimes takes time. And again, these are just sample quotes. So you see all these issues here. All these things are important to bring up to the reader. I bet every single one of you out there, including Talent Search, would say, yeah, we have that going on too. Okay, great. If you can't find a source, a website, a report to prove that, you just can't say it as much as you want to. Worst case scenario, you quote your own staff, you quote your own director, your talent search director, or your advisors, according to the project staff. Best case scenario is you talk to people that are actually working there, the target school counselors, target school principals for talent search, for EOC, the people that work there. So your connections there, the people you work with, and that's why it's so important for y'all to get out there now and start getting this information, the better, so that you don't do it in a crunch. The rest of the proposal, the rest of the sections, all the other sections of the proposal, if you had to, you could update, refine the rest of the proposal in a weekend if you had to. I don't recommend it, but if you had to. But the needs section and the applicant and community support section, that is something that's totally um, mainly, yeah, I mean, we can't come up with that. We can't refine it. We can't get together on a weekend and knock that out because we need so much information or updates from the census, from the target schools, from the target area folks. So this is what takes the longest thing to do. So I urge you, please go ahead and start, if anything, work on those two sections. And of course your budget, but your budget should take you 5 minutes to do because, it's whatever you have or supposed to get this year with no carryover, and that's gone in a second. So that's 5 minutes to do the budget. It's the needs section, data collection, the applicant and community support. That's going to take you a minute. The good thing is they're kind of intertwined or connected because as you try to make outreach, and get those letters or start preparing for those MOUs. And by the way, we do have some sample MOUs in the Google Drive as well. Um, you know, uh, this is the time to start talking to them about getting these quotes. So what I would recommend is you dust off your 2021 submission for both EOC and Talent Search, and that you take it apart. You know how you put it together and you work so hard to make it fit 65 pages. uh, do a save as, and I would deconstruct it and take that need section and the applicant and community support section and save those as a draft for 2026 as Word documents. And I would start updating the heck out of them. I would use Grammarly. I would use AI to make things sound better. I would take the text and put it through there and say, don't lose the content, but make it sound better. Maybe make it shorter, or, less, wordy, for more space, and then highlight everything in yellow that needs to be updated. Okay, everything in yellow that you need to start updating. The same thing with the applicant and community support. Take that, go put it through Grammarly, reformat it, make it, like I said, just make it look better, cleaner. Um, and then start highlighting and double checking and say, look, I need to get some help or get someone to help you update these things. Look at these folks. Are they still in place? Let's go ahead and get MOUs or letters of commitment in the Google Drive for Talent Search. Can you share that, Leah? Can you go back to Talent Search, I think, or I think there's a folder on its own in the Google Drive that says letters of commitment when you go back to the master. I thought I put letters of commitment somewhere here. I can't see. Let me see. It might be in Can we go to town? Oh, there they are. Yeah, right there. Right staring at me right there. If you could double click that. We've got some for EOC and Talent Search too. So you want to start looking at those two sections and you'll feel a lot better if you get those two, because those are the hardest things to do. Like I said, everything else, you could lock yourself away for a weekend and knock that out, all the other sections, but you're stuck if you don't have that need section data. And there is a lot of going back and forth, because don't be upset or dismayed when you do your first run through and half of the stuff doesn't show need. We got to look at it again and find the sources. Thank God we're able to find, or have that flexibility to locate the source, even if it's if the target school counselor, to say that this is the college enrollment rate. Okay, you don't have a choice. It would be great if the usual resources showed a need, but if you're going to use that and it's not going to, you're going to lose points. You might as well go ahead and do what I call a Hail Mary and say, you know what, we're going to say based on interviews with target school counselors. Let's see what they got to say about this. I have nothing to lose. I was going to lose points anyway. This is a way to save points. Okay. Any other questions in the Q&A? Thanks, Leah, for doing that. If you could just put it back on the main screen so everyone can see the resources there that are in the Google Drive. Um, Timeline, I'm acting like there was recommendation for that RFP to be out, by December 1st, right? On or before. So it's kind of vague, it could be that it goes out, or maybe it's was out before that and then due. So I don't know. I'm working off, and I could be wrong, but usually I'm more right than wrong, as though it's going to be released on December 1st, which mean it would be due, at the end of January, beginning of February for talent search, and a month later for EOC. I could be totally wrong, but I've got to do some sort of timeline. So, let's say I'm just speculating. If it comes out on December 1st, that's when I should have by then my draft of all the sections separated still. I haven't merged them together. And once I get a hold of that new RFP, then I start finalizing. But I'm not starting. You don't start when that RFP comes out. You start finalizing when that RFP comes out. So if it helps you any, I mean, and then the minute I hear anything, if it's going to be sooner than that, which I don't think, because everything's been delayed, that's my deadline to get all my drafts done by then, of every single section by then. Okay. Maybe a month later for EOC, but who knows? They could choose, EOC to go first. You never know. Okay. Anyone have any other questions before we close off for this week? I know I've been rattling on, but it's been a couple of weeks, and kind of just filling you in on what we're doing, because we're in the same boat y'all are in. We've got a lot of clients. I've been kind of laying low, making sure we have the GANs. And then once those GANs come out, we're going to hit the ground running. So we're getting ready to launch full time and go underground, so to speak, to work on mainly, 75% of the proposals for Talent Search and EOC, starting, next week. Um, and also, we do have some, can you go now to our main page? I don't think we haven't posted yet, right, Donna? But we have some upcoming, we have a couple of free webinars coming up that y'all might be interested in. I don't think we posted them yet, so let me just talk
No,
about them.
no, we haven't posted them yet.
We have our annual free APR webinars, which, by the way, I know, well, on top of that, we're going to do an APR. Well, you know what? Maybe you have all the information you need for your APRs. The only thing you might be waiting on is verification of college enrollment from Clearinghouse. And Clearinghouse isn't 100% either. But with Section 2 and 3 of your APRs, that should be done already. Because Section 2 and 3 comes from when somebody's new, or when you see them again for the beginning of, for first time each year. It's that darn Section 4 that we're probably, trying. I would recommend you hurry up and get it done. People say, well, when is it going to be due? When is it going to, doesn't matter. Get it done ASAP, and whatever you don't know, leave unknown, and get it done and move on to the new year. Please move on to the new year. You can cause more damage if you stay in the old year. Move on. Almost all your databases, if not all of them, should be allowing you to move on to 25, 26 without hurting anything for the previous year. Okay. The other webinar we have coming up, we're real excited about, is our budget management webinar. Also to let you know about our budget management services. But this free webinar is to not only do an overview of the budget categories and to talk about how you can build your own, and everything is something you can do on your own, okay, free of charge. But if you happen to have carryover, either not now, but maybe later on, hopefully, because there's a gap there, there's a month, if we get all our money back and you don't have your positions full, come to spring, you're going to have to start spending some of this money in training, hopefully. And so, what we could do then is offer you some budget management assistance or technical assistance. But if you don't want to wait on that, you want to go ahead and get, you know, uh, attend and build your own a spreadsheet that we're going to show you how to build so you can interact or toggle between your institutional spreadsheet plus the Department of Ed. So that's another free webinar. These are going to be launched in, I believe, all October. All of the majority of our APR webinars for free, and also our budget management. I think it's either on the 14th of October, but we're going to be talking about and posting about that real soon. In addition to that, we've got that we'll be working on proposals, but we also have those courses that y'all can use allowable costs for the professional development seminars. If you want to train one, two, three, or four, it's $500 per attendee. It's still less than the cost of sending them to a free priority training, which there are few of now. So that's something you may want to think about doing as well. So just letting you know that we're also going to launch our talent search version, our upward bound version. We have SSS up and running. We have veterans upward bound and running if you have any friends or colleagues that are utilizing those. So just letting you know what we're planning on doing moving forward. I don't know if there's anything I left off, Donna. We do have the groups going on, I believe, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
We do have groups that are available. Anyone can join a general trio question group or an APR question group. So
Leah, can you click that group section on the website there? And that's kind of a little listserv, about specific things. And you can join here. These are mainly free, right? Except for there's a couple of them are free. The general one I think is free. I think. Um,
yes, the general trio question and the general APR questions. The others
um,
are available if you're in those courses or if you've attended our webinar, the professional development
um,
webinar or proposal writing webinar.
Right. And like I said, we're going to shift over to be a lot more active here. We're also going to launch a Ask Lisa, I believe, a trio question. So I've collected trio questions along the years. A lot of them are the same questions, and I found myself, saving the answers. So I thought, you know what, I've got enough here, kind of like a Dear Abby, Dear Lisa. And I think we'll probably decide if we're going to do those once a week where we just post it. Believe me, don't worry, everything, the name. Names will be changed to protect the innocent. So, no one will know where it's coming from. But a lot of people have the same questions. So we want to put it out there and do that. And then this is what happened during the happy hour, Eileen. I'm going to put you on the spot here. We're going to talk about doing like did we call it Talent Search Thursdays or Talent Search Thirsty Thursdays or something? We're on Thursdays or Tuesdays. I forgot. We were going to try to do like a podcast of everything and anything Talent Search. And if there's any EOC people out there that like to do an EOC podcast or where we get together and just talk about anything related to Talent Search or EOC, not just the proposal, but just to have another group, of information to share stuff, just let us know. So those will be free. Okay. VUB just received their GAN. Okay. So great. And Al said ED is sending out another administrative GAN. Great. Okay, y'all. Gonna wrap it up now. I hope y'all got some information or maybe some motivation. I was kind of motivating myself to get back on track, honestly, too. So that was my motive to do that as well, not just to get you all up and running, but to get me up and running. And hopefully we'll get our GANs. Hopefully no one else will get canceled. We're always here. You have my email address. You know how to reach us if you have any questions at all. And just appreciate y'all joining us and hope you have a great week. And this recording will be available on our YouTube channel with all our other recordings sometime tomorrow. Okay. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Leah and Donna. Thanks for helping me out and getting this all up and going. All the good stuff you see is them. Anything that's a typo or bad, that's me, okay? Because I'm not paying any attention, but they've really taken us to the next level and can do it without them. Okay, and if you need to, I'm gonna have to step away. I've got to go and take someone to the doctor. So if y'all can email me, someone said they want to talk to me after, send me an email or a text message. My number is, let me put my number here or I lose y'all. Well, it's in my signature or it's on our webpage somewhere here, right? Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. See, it's so great. So shoot me a text. Just let me know who you are because my phone is for some reason not keeping any contacts. So anytime I get a text from someone, I don't know. So anyway, I got to check that out. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a great week. Thank you, Don and Leah. And we can stop the recording now.